So, any New Year's resolutions for 2022?
Find a different podcast because this one's not cutting it. I don't know. It's just I wish the best for everything for next year, especially with content creation and career wise. And I wish the same for you. I mean, what do you have?
um, get people's names right.
That's something we can never
And I
do.
know I'm gonna fuck that up on the first day because I'm gonna write January 2021 instead of 2022.
Yeah, isn't that something? No, I likewise. No, same.
But no, I think I'm not really like a resolution kind of guy because I never really follow up with things. I like to have new experiences and just I appreciate whatever the new year brings. But yeah, I definitely think this past year was very insightful. So I hope I hope the pandemic continues to decrease in escalation. But I think next year is going to be very exciting. I agree for a lot of content and entertainment. Yeah, there's just so much, and then hopefully we get a following next year. I doubt it. We're gonna have to fucking sell masks on Etsy to make a living, but
We should. Yeah, I hope so too. I mean, I really do hope it's a struggle kind of, but I think it's great to see a whole playlist full of videos that we've done.
oh, definitely, yeah.
And
And I just want to say, real quick before to anybody who's listening to this episode, I want to say thank you to all our listeners, whether you're new or you've been following us since day one, because without you guys, we really don't have a platform. So we just like, I mean, I love talking with my co-host. We've been talking since high school about like stuff we like, but we appreciate you guys for really like coming through and sharing our content. So this episode is dedicated to the fans. But that's my 2 cents.
absolutely, thank you guys so much. Any support you can give us really helps us a lot, and we promise to get better and better over time. And we can't do that without your help. And we hope that we could get a following, not as like to gain clout, but just to have more friends, right? And get in on the conversation of our inside jokes and whatnot. I think that that's something that's really beautiful.
It's
And
hard to laugh at our own inside jokes all the time, guys.
we can't tell you every inside joke because it's not too nice, but maybe one day, But thank you so much. I
It's
really
sad when we
appreciate
have
it.
to make memes of ourselves. I wish other people could do it.
Oh
Like
yeah,
Reddit.
yeah, I know. Well, maybe one day, maybe one day you
One
could
day.
you could come into the Lunch Table Podcast family. So again,
One
this
day.
one's dedicated to you.
Yeah, and make sure to subscribe to our OnlyFans next year.
Hey.
Yeah. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Lunch Table Podcast with Dylan and Akram, your podcast for what's happening in the world of entertainment and pop culture. I hope you guys have had a very Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays, and a Happy New Year to you all. Today's episode, we're trying to do something special for the new year. So we are doing a reflections episode looking back on our favorite moments of 2021. I didn't fuck it up because of my shirt. But Akram, 2021 brought a lot of exciting new things to the world of entertainment. I would say this year was very experimental. We saw a lot of unique things in television, gaming, and movies, obviously. But what was your takeaways from 2021?
For sure, I think it was extremely experimental, and I also think it has to do with a lot of the imaginative creators, such as I know a lot of people dog on Zack Snyder, but like even what happened with the Justice League on HBO Max, right? That never happened before, right? And so we finally got that, and it's really because of the fans, and I feel like a lot more voices are being heard, even if it sounds like it's not true. In a way, it kind of is true that like people are listening. Some people up there and corporate are listening, and so like we got the new Justice League, and then for example Zack Snyder, Netflix invited him over to do Army of the Dead, and he's trying to make a franchise even if those aren't that good. It's definitely a year for creators, I believe, and a lot for culture, as we've seen in Shang-Chi, and a lot of more people are realizing that, right? And so I'm glad that we get to that level creativity, that where it combines the lines of just what you feel in your heart, what you want to create, and also about culture. So yeah, this year has been unique for entertainment, also game wise, also novel wise, anything under the huge umbrella of entertainment. So yeah, I can't wait for 2022. I think it's gonna escalate to a new height, and I'm hoping it's gonna be better than it is now. Even if now I think it's really good.
Great points. Yeah. It was. I mean, with even with the pandemic happening, I do believe there was a great push for a lot of content creators. Yeah, it was like I said, it was very experimental in the way that like some things were made, like Squid Game, like push like what could a horror genre could be. Could it be like live action? Could it be like almost like comedic in style? Animation, like just look at like we got Invincible, we got Blade Runner, Black Lotus, Star Wars Visions. Like, can you believe that we got an anime version of Star Wars? Like, who would have thought like 20 years ago? But yeah, just like it was a wonderful and like like obviously we're gonna talk about the Marvel stuff. Just like all the TV series, like, just, like, the visual storytelling, like, just, like, from WandaVision and all these great shows like Witcher and, all the things we've talked about in previous episodes, like, it was just it's been a great year just for, like, acting and bringing a lot of, old blood and new blood together, as we've seen, like, with Spider-Man No Way Home, and, just, like, all these great movies that have just, like, found a way to incorporate, old actors into, like, new storytelling. And just like a revitalization, I would say, of a lot of old franchises like Saints of Newark. We got the Ghostbusters remake, Fast Nine, The Matrix. I mean, and even Halloween Kills. Like, who would have thought? Like, we got another sequel. So it's an amazing time right now, I would say, for the franchise. But what are your thoughts on it?
Oh yeah, for sure. I think it's so weird how like and even like couple of years ago too, it's just ramping up this type of like thing where like they're bringing up like old franchises or like old actors back into the mix. We have later on for 2022, we have the new Indiana Jones 5, Harrison
Oh, I
Ford. He's
totally forgot
finally,
about that. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, he's even coming back. I mean, there's it's crazy. And animation like Arcane, I think they won an award. It's like the animation for that is insane. I'm glad because we're also introducing the younger generations into these mediums that we love, right? And it only makes it kind of makes it like this thing that lasts forever, right? Like Star Wars or like or whatever, even like a mob movie. Like who knows if they'll gonna do another thing for Sopranos maybe one day or something like that. Yeah, I think it's so unique of an experience that this has happened, and also which is funny too because in a way, you kind of you make what do you say, when you hand it lemons you get, you make lemonade with it. Like streaming services, right, with the pandemic, they're taking advantage, and so now like all like Disney Plus, HBO Max, like all these things, they're making bank just because of the pandemic. Like it's funny, it's almost like people on Etsy making masks, right? It's like they're making so much money, and that's kind of like the same thing. It's
It's capitalization.
capitalization, and it's also taking advantage of a disadvantage too. It could be a good
Mhm.
thing or a bad thing, but for the most part I think it's some of them are smart moves, but yeah.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. I was gonna mention that like streaming, I think, is the way to go for the future. You mentioned like Disney Plus, of course, and HBO Max. I think even Netflix, like they're trying to stay afloat right now. I mean, they still have a lot of great original content, but they're trying to compete with all these newer platforms like Paramount Plus, and everybody's got a shtick now, I guess. But yeah, I really feel like with the pandemic still prevalent, I think streaming is definitely gonna evolve. And we've talked about like gaming, and like Netflix is apparently having their own gaming service. So I wonder where that's gonna go. Like if things are gonna be like more available online now, as opposed, like, I wonder what's gonna happen like with GameStop or like all these like just like location stores. Like, is it gonna be a dark future for them, or are they gonna also capitalize on it? But what are your thoughts on what let's go into the, like, what do you think for like gaming gonna be in 2022?
Well, I think games are becoming more ambitious. I think also with just the storytelling, it's not even about technology. It's like just storytelling and what the developers really want to, convey in certain stories. Like a lot of people were dogging on like what 2019's The Last of Us. I think it came out 2019. The Last of Us Part Two, right? But it has like different narratology that I haven't seen in other games before. And like there's tech wise, like for example, Ratchet and Clank was amazing what they could do with next generation, or Spider-Man, Miles Morales, right? It's a combination of, it's funny now, games are becoming more seamless and like transitions from scene to scene just to load in certain levels. And I think that it's kind of blurring the lines between film and just video games in general. And I
Oh,
think
very
that's
cinematic
great.
quality. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
it's
would say.
great. It's great. What do you think?
And the technology is there. I mean, how many times we talked about Unreal Engine? It's just like the push for graphic quality is just becoming so standard now. And it's really beautiful, like what these studios have been able to accomplish just like in the past year alone. Just like even like just from PlayStation exclusive to like smaller uh, studios. But I can't wait to see what next year brings. I think it's gonna be a high competition. I would say, especially with the arrival of new consoles. Um, but I'm excited to see what gaming presents for next year. But let's move into like what was our favorite moments of 2021. So what looking back, did you have any favorite series, movies, games? Talk about what interests you the most this year.
Succession, Dylan. You should watch Succession. I love
Logs off.
Succession. I always tell them watch it. Look, guys, watch Succession. It's one of like TV's best shows out there.
I'm
It's
gonna
on
get to it. Don't worry.
HBO
After I
Max.
finish
Yeah,
Chappie.
it's so relevant, right? Just talking about corpos and stuff like that. It's so relevant. Yeah, Succession. I think it's one of those shows where it's not so ingrained into the pop culture. It's more of its own entity. I think it's if you really like it's satire, but it's also everything in between: comedy, tragedy. The writing team for that is amazing. I think that's one of my favorites. I just finished season three. Which is funny that I mentioned. I bet you guys didn't think that I'll mention Succession, but yeah, that's probably one of my highlights because it's so like it's just one of my favorite shows of all time. Um, yeah. What is yours?
There's a lot to ground to cover for my favorites. There was just so much great quality this year. Obviously, recently it had like Spider-Man No Way Home took the cake for me. It's just that was the movie of the year for me. But other than that, I would say Shang-Chi made a great presence this year. Great turnout from the fans. I'm so excited to see the representation of the Asian community, and it was a blockbuster hit. I really enjoyed it. As far as like TV shows, I really enjoyed Falcon and Winter Soldier. I think that was a really cool show. That was one of my favorites, and Loki also. Also, I like some movies like Suicide Squad just like blew my mind as far as just like I think like now like I feel like it's kind of like a trend now just to do like crossover event movies just to have like so many actors in one movie and then just like seeing where they can push the limits of cinematography. But it was awesome. Halloween Kills was one of my favorite movies this year. Great revitalization of the franchise. So I can't wait to see where Halloween Ends takes us. I don't know if it's next year or the year after that, but I'm excited. Um, Invincible was a great show. I really enjoyed the first season. I know you did as well. I know you read the comics. So I'm excited to see where season two takes us. Even like smaller shows, like we got Yasuke, the anime from Netflix about the first Black Samurai. It had mixed reviews, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. Also Dota 2, or no, I'm sorry, Dota the animated series from Netflix. I really enjoyed the storytelling from that. And Castlevania season 4 just ended this year. But apparently there's going to be a spin-off series. I think it's going to be like more based on the games. But I love that show as far like a great year for animation, like I said. Um, but let's see, like as far as like things that didn't really work for me this year, Black Widow, I feel like wasn't super great. I don't know. And not just I'm not just thinking about like the controversial stuff with Scarlett Johansson. That's a whole nother thing. But I don't know, just didn't really hit for me this year. What else? Snake Eyes, the G.I. Joe spinoff. It was all right. It's like when you read it, a lot of things confused me. in that movie. So and I think they did a Storm Shadow dirty in the end of that. There's another movie. Hold up, oh, Venom: Let There Be Carnage. The sequel to Venom, Lethal Protector. Wasn't a great movie, honestly. It was only great for the end credit scene. Some people will say differently, but I don't know. It kind of flopped for me. And then Cowboy Bebop was the biggest letdown for me this year as far as TV shows. But how about you? Did you have anything that you felt like didn't really make a good presence this year?
Well, bitch, I didn't know you're gonna go on a tangent about all the things you like. I just a succession. I thought we were going back and forth. Well, let me. Well, all right, I'll
All
start
right, well,
with
let's start with what you like this
no,
year.
I'll start with the flops because me and you kind of have the same taste, and I agree. I think that Cowboy Bebop, well, at least for me, because I'm like virgin eyes with like certain animes, right? So Cowboy Bebop was like, I thought it was subpar. You guys can see our review for that as well. But yeah, that Netflix is really hit or miss. Like Jupiter's Legacy, that's a comic book adaptation. They have actually they have right now anime spinoff right there too on Netflix that you could check out. Which is weird that they canceled Jupiter's Legacy and then all of a sudden went right straight into like an anime spinoff. But that was kind of a letdown. Seemed kind of weird pacing wise, I'd say. Yeah, and like Black Widow, of course, we have like a shitty review on that as well. That
Big body ass.
Oh yeah, because certain choices with Black Widow I thought was like kind of disappointing, especially like her last film ever. But I feel like a lot of Disney Plus shows had like a lot of hits as well. I can't really comment on certain shows that aren't like Marvel or Star Wars related. And I think that might be a problem too, because why not just make other shows on Disney Plus that's really, start your own cult following? I don't know if it's kind of hard to do, but I'd say that. Game wise, I think that a lot of them I usually like, if you guys don't know, I usually try to collect like most of the blockbuster games. That could either be a good thing or a bad thing. I think just how the industry is for gaming too. I think that there's like this trend where like we have to make everything a battle royale, and that could be a good thing or bad thing. I mean, Warzone's doing really well. Each rendition of Call of Duty, we have Vanguard that just came out recently, but I'm not really a multiplayer person either, and that's okay. I mean, there's a lot of things that tries to cater towards single player games. But sometimes they mix it up, kind of like Deathloop, which was one of my favorites of the year. I think that Deathloop was awesome, and I thought it was so like unique of an experience as well. But they have multiplayer in that. I don't know if anybody really plays that, but they do have multiplayer in that. I mean, you have games like Doom. I forgot if Doom 2 came out. Oh, Doom Eternal. I think it came out in 2021. That
I
was
think yeah, I think it came out in
that
20.
was
Yeah.
that was a hit. That was cool. I mean, it's just so cool how like they could reinvent certain franchises in a way and like
Hmm.
just up it. But like again with the flops, I don't know. I'm really like I'm not biased, but like after watching something, I am like kind of like naive, like thinking like, oh yeah, that was really good. But then later on, I'm like, I don't know.
Hmm.
But like here's the thing too. I don't really if I know something's probably gonna be bad, I just usually don't play it. But like there's like certain hidden gems as well, like Hot Wheels for gaming, right? I thought that was really cool. I played that. That was so super fun. Hot Wheels Unleashed. Um, and more flops. I'm just looking. I have like a stack of things, but Battlefield. Everybody hates Battlefield. I played it. Multiplayer only. I wish there was a campaign. I'm like one of those weirdos that play like Call of Duty or Battlefield just for the campaign. But that was a flop. Apparently, a lot of tech issues right now, and they try to start up their new thing with Portal that kind of like mimics Warzone, but in a more customization way. I don't know. You guys, let me know in the comments if you make it to this part of the video. Probably you won't, but we'll see. But that's okay. I'd say also Guardians of the Galaxy, the game. Holy
Yes,
shit, that was
I
my
know you're a
favorite.
big player of that. Yeah.
So good of an experience. And also, what's funny is Marvel's Avengers. Marvel's Avengers was ass when it started, still is ass, and they're trying, right? But I think it's a lot of the corporate side getting involved. But it's so refreshing to see something like Guardians of the Galaxy to give us the experience that we did want, and I didn't expect to have that.
Guardians, Avengers, balance as all things should be.
That's what it is. It's so good. But yeah, those it's hard to say which favorites I have because, in the entertainment industry, I really love everything. Even if it's kind of shitty, I kind of give it a benefit of the
Hmm.
doubt because it's just so cool, and so and that's what we were talking about earlier. So many people are bringing up things or like having team ups, right? Like a Spider-Man No Way Home. So yeah, for flop wise, There's a lot of hit or misses, but I guess I'm kind of biased. I don't know. How about oh well, Why the Last Man? Also another flop that I think that it's a shame that they kind of like redid or reimagined the story on Hulu. But yeah,
Were there
that's
any movies that disappointed you or shows you didn't really care for?
I
Any from my list? I mean, obviously Black Widow is one of them.
It's hard to say. I think Army of Thieves kind of was like a miss to me. That was like the sequel to Army of the Dead. I know you haven't seen that. That
Mhm.
was kind of like a miss. Even though Army of the Dead was kind of like
It was
mediocre
a
here and there.
popcorn series, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of the Netflix shows actually are like hit or miss. That's why I'm not a big fan of Netflix. I usually like more Prime Video. I think that yeah, I don't know. It's really hard to say because I'm like I don't really watch like a lot of like things that if the first episode, if I know in the first episode I'm not really like into it or I know something's like
Mhm.
off, I kind of just leave it.
Didn't
Um
Kong and Godzilla come out this year?
it did. I forgot about
I
that.
forgot to add that to my flops. I was like, none of them.
It wasn't that good, but surely it was epic. And that was the whole point. I
It
think
was
that
ass. It was
but it was
ass.
epic, right? That was like one of those things where like you don't care if it's ass, but like it's just so epic to
Mhm.
see Kong fight
It
Mechagodzilla.
was it was overhyped for what it was, honestly. I think they were just like I said, I think everybody now is just trying to build a franchise. 'Cause remember, we still had that weird ass fucking Mummy franchise that never got off its feet. So I think everybody's just trying to like start their own MCU, but it's hit or miss, like you said. Like some things are good, some things are bad. Um, it just depends on quality. For games, I would say Cyberpunk was definitely a letdown this year for or did it come out last in
See,
2021
that's so
or
funny
2020?
because I actually disagree with everyone. Even if it's not what it's supposed to be, I actually because I platinum that game. It is a letdown, but it's the technical difficulties that made it a letdown.
Yeah. I feel bad because they could have expanded on it more. I don't know if they're still working on the servers now. But I think it could have been a lot more than what, and I think that's also a lesson for a lot of developers into the next coming year. Just take your time and just let it, settle and get all the hinges right before release date. So it will be, fans are impatient. I get that. We're always foaming at the mouth for the next big release date, but it's gonna be more disappointing if you put shit out that doesn't really like work properly. I mean, how many like I could say that for our own podcast too. How many fucking shit we put out. So yeah, let shit like sit in the oven for a while and then let it bake. But Genshin Impact was one of my favorite games this year. I know you're you're probably
Well,
looking at me.
tell us about that. No, that's interesting. Tell us about that.
No, Genshin like was one of my favorite games this year. It's like one of those games that I didn't even like think about until I started playing it, and then just like it's got a huge community now, which I'm really like well, I don't know, I might actually leave now because it's grown so big. But no. I like that I can be able to talk about it with a lot of friends that I know, and just like hop on. Like there's like this, I would say the campaign, like the story, like the single player story is very intricate. It's very lore intensive. I would say like even people who aren't anime fans, like just it's just the style, but honestly the story is very it's very deep and there's just so much behind. There's so much to do in it. It's like it's a lot like I would say Breath of the Wild too, which we have a sequel coming out for very soon. But yeah, Genshin was definitely deserved the awards that it got this year. So we got more expansion coming for that game in the coming months. I know we got some new characters this month that just released, but I'm excited. But let's talk about MCU this year. What a year for Marvel. Uh, and DC too. You could say like with Suicide Squad and I forgot. Was there any DC movies that came out this year? Did Harley Quinn come out
L-
this year? I forgot.
no,
you know,
no, that came out like in 2019. I think really
oh,
the main
29.
the main thing was the future, obviously 2022. But I think Justice League, just the remaster or
Oh yeah, that's
remaster,
right.
the re I don't know what it was, just the Snyder cut, whatever it was.
Right.
Yeah. Wonder
But
Woman 1984, I think, or some shit like that, which wasn't that good, but
yeah, this was definitely Marvel's year. Even if a lot of, well, I mean, obviously the big takeaways this year in the, if you want to talk about the main Avengers timeline, it was obviously Shang-Chi and Spider-Man No Way Home. But I mean, even like, we had Eternals too. It was all right, I guess. But it still made a deep impact into the story. So obviously, I think they're building to another like Infinity Saga kind of thing. But we're going into the multiverse now, and that's one thing that 2021 really accomplished was like, I think in phase what was it, phase three? Phase three, we kind of just like got everybody. They Marvel showed us that they could bring everybody together, right, for one event. Now we've seen that we can bring people from all over, from different franchises, from different movies, different time. It doesn't matter at this point. We can make these big, huge event movies and just like we can give the fans what they want. And I think that's what Marvel's really trying to do is pay attention to the fans and really like go into the history of Silver Age, Golden Age, and even the newer comics now. So I really appreciate what Marvel's been doing. But what do you feel Marvel's doing right and wrong this year?
I think that it's kind of naive to say they're not doing anything wrong. I mean, on the outside, it looks like they're doing everything right. I mean, they're bringing back. I mean, see what happened was when that thing happened with Loki, Kevin did say, I call him Kevin like if he's a close friend, but Kevin Feige did
Right.
say, like, everything is included in this big universe now because there's multiple timelines. And that's why I always say, and I will always say, Loki, I think, was one of the most important things that happened for phase four. And I think that a lot of stuff they do on Disney Plus too. I feel like it's a lot about instead of because the movies are kind of different, but it's like as if it's like a character breakdown of these awesome superheroes, right? Like Loki was very like it was all about self reflection and like breaking down that exterior and
And redemption too, I would
and
say too.
redemption, absolutely. And Falcon and the Winter Soldier was so relevant to the times as well. And WandaVision as well is dealing with grief. It's just like they're really digging deeper into these themes, I feel. And for the movies, I'd say like with Shang-Chi as well. Shang-Chi, I think, was really deep and fleshed out. Black Widow was like trying to be, but I think it was like it kind of like missed the point. And Eternals, the first sex scene that we ever seen. That's the legacy for the Eternals. It's just that. But like no, but like we talked about this before, but like it's getting to the point where it's becoming more like the comics, which I absolutely love. And I think like that's the new trend now. Give the fans what we want. And is it fan service? Maybe, but sometimes comics are like that as well. I mean, we just want to geek out on stuff and make it relevant, right? As we seen in Loki, Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, apparently they reshot it just to have some cameos thrown in there that we don't know about, right? But like look at
Mhm. Even
Spider-Man No Way
Hawkeye
Home.
too. I mean, just with having
Hawkeye,
Kingpin back, yeah.
yeah, it's just like it's very inclusive to different projects that they worked on, and Hawkeye I think was definitely super important, just because the Kingpin thing. But yeah, I think that the power scaling, like we talked about, it's like everyone's trying to up each other,
It's a
like
little all over the place, yeah.
all over the place. But like that's how the comics are. Like it's getting to that
Mm.
point, and it's always weird that I mentioned this before. It's like it's so funny. I have like a little niece, and like she never grew up with like older films like Phase One or something like that. And I, you know, all these characters are being replaced with like different characters, right? Like Hawkeye, whatever, Captain America. It's so like I wonder what the future is gonna be like, and I wonder, will different, multiverse characters kind of move into the main multiverse and like stay there. Time will tell. I can't wait. I want to know your thoughts.
Yeah, it's Marvel's definitely going into a direction where I feel everyone now is a fan. Whether you're an avid comic reader or you're just casual and you just want to have a good time. I feel and the MCU is being very inclusive now, and I love that. Before like when you watched a Marvel movie before, like Spider-Man One or Fantastic Four or X-Men, whatever, it was a very controlled community, and now I feel like it's like everybody is like one big family now. And speaking of that, I also feel like this year was a big theme on family for a lot of these movies. Like we saw that with Black Widow, we saw that with Eternals, WandaVision. I think that's the big moves, and I think a lot of those shows, whether it was influenced or not, I would say it was because of the pandemic. Because we all had to reconnect and really like learn how to be together again as a community. But yeah, I would definitely say for a lot of the comic book readers, this was definitely their year. We got What If? Who would have thought? We would have got that that show. That was just an incredible ride from beginning to end. And just like Shang-Chi was like a low key character like years ago. It's like, I mean, we got the Iron Fist show in Defenders, um, but he was kind of like already tied with Luke Cage. But yeah, I mean, Shang-Chi just becoming like a number one movie, like just for that kind of character, that's insane, man. But yeah, I'm really excited for Marvel, like with the direction they're going. I really hope like every movie from now on just has a high standard. Like I really want like that Spider-Man No Way Home level. I know it's not realistic, but obviously that was a good fucking movie. Oh my god, if you haven't seen it already, please do. But yeah, and then we get like, the Kingpin and then Daredevil back into the main MCU. I mean, it's crazy to think about that. It's kind of surreal actually. It's like, and because they could have recasted those characters. I mean, Marvel could do whatever they want at this point, but the fact that they Kevin recognized the value in those characters and seeing that they have such a big fan base and a loyal fan base too. So bringing them back into the main canon, I think he didn't really have to do that, but it's just awesome to see some appreciation for what's already been done, and then bringing it now for future generations of Marvel fans. But any other thoughts that you have on it?
Yeah, I think that everyone could tell that we're really excited for the future of Marvel. And it's one of the best franchises, I believe. I think there's nothing like it. We haven't seen anything like it, and there's way more movies than there is for Star Wars. Star Wars, they branch off into different mediums, like comics are really prevalent, novels are really prevalent, and now finally live action is more prevalent, right? We have the Book of Boba Fett. I cannot I cannot wait to do a review for that. That's going to be really exciting.
You bitch ass better watch Bad Batch first,
Let's not
because you
mention
haven't
that.
finished it.
I haven't finished it. I'm sorry. I have to finish it. I don't know why I haven't finished it. It's funny because I read all the comics and I read most of the novels. There's so many now that they just keep producing them. But I never watched the Bad Batch, and that's shame on me, right? And I call myself a huge Star Wars fan, right? And that's gonna have season 2, I believe.
You
So
saw in big poodoo now.
and but yeah, it's great. It's a great year. 2022, I think it's going to hit really hard. I mean, just marketing and wise and like studio, like for example, PlayStation, they're really aggressive with like characters. Like for example, I know a lot of people hate Marvel's Avengers, but like, Spider-Man is PlayStation exclusive. That's a really aggressive tactic. Or even just holding Spider-Man there for exclusive, and that's one of the greatest games now of all time. You know what I mean? I think that for movies, they're listening more to the directors and the creatives, and then they have a larger platform, if you will. They have more freedom to do what they want to do. I think for games as well. Comics was always there, right there in the forefront, that they had like a lot of liberties of what they want to do, and everything's becoming more inclusive. Sometimes that could seem cheesy, sometimes that could seem a little bit fake, but like for the most part, I think it's really good. Yeah, I'm super excited for 2022, and I really hope that everything goes well, worldwide as well with the pandemic and like violence in general. But like in terms of entertainment, I think the sky's the limit. So that's my thoughts.
Excellent points. Yeah,
Thank you.
just going back to the Star Wars thing, yeah, I definitely think. Well, it was very a relaxed year for Star Wars. We did, I mean, have Book of Boba Fett obviously was the biggest thing that came out. But Bad Batch, I really appreciated what they did with that, and it kind of leads into more spin-offs. I think a lot of these Star Wars shows now are just kind of like breeding their own spin-offs now, which is really cool. So I can't wait for Obi-Wan Kenobi next year, and then we got Ahsoka, and then all these other great series coming out. So it's gonna be a great year for Star Wars fans as well as Marvel fans. And then like animation, I'm really excited for. I mean, Luca came out this year. It was a great movie. A lot of great animated movies came out this year, and like the horror genre and just like exploded this year. I mean, we had some hit and misses. I mean, we had *Malignant*. We had I mean, Halloween obviously was phenomenal. movie. Demonic. We also had that this year. Was it this year or I forget? It was 2019. But anyway,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think it was this year.
um, and then like Candyman, they brought that back. So is it like I said, a lot of bringing back like old franchise and then just like a lot of directors putting their own twist on it. And I'm excited like where to see like James Bond in the coming years because we finally ended with Daniel Craig's last run with No Time to Die this year that your bitch ass still hasn't watched it, but
I have the Blu-ray. I'm planning to watch it.
but and he didn't miss much. But yeah, it was alright movie. But and then I also saw the Matrix revitalization this year. So I think the sequels and prequels trend is growing. I don't know it. Like I think a lot of these franchises just for some it's just like milk like cash grab, but for some it's just like an appreciation for the fans. So I hope it's more. It goes into the latter route, and they really take care of these characters that people love. But overall, I was very impressed with what came out this year. It was a very struggled time, with politics and the pandemic and just like so much suffering happening in the world. But I'm uh I'm excited to see what next year brings us. And this podcast also, I'm so excited that we made it through our first year. So, like I said, thank you guys for supporting us. I hope our community builds next year and that we have more followers. That even with the fan base we have now, it's limited as it is. We appreciate you guys for really sticking with us to the end.
For sure. Thank you guys so much. We can't really do without you because we're not setting these videos on private, right? It's on public. So unless if it is on private, it might be just
It
making
feels
a
like private at this point.
probably was making a mistake all this time. Well, we appreciate you, or really we do, and we want to gain like a family, like we said earlier, or like just like friends, and if you guys stuck around to the end, thank you so much because these videos do take a lot of time to make, and I know it kind of sounds like yada yada yada, but it is true, and we do this with passion, and it's for you, right? Bringing you content on entertainment and pop culture for you, and trying to provide you with any news that or fucking great theories that we have, brooming up and stuff like that. Just thank you very much. We really do appreciate you.
And thank you to all our collaborators also that came onto our show. And if you're also a content creator and you would be interested in sharing an episode with us, please feel free to contact us. We would love to have guests on our show also. But yes, thank you again to everybody. Akram, if you don't have any more final thoughts, that pretty much wraps up our reflections episode. So again, happy new year, guys. I hope to see you all next year, but until then, thanks for having lunch with us.
See you next year. See you guys
Later, guys.
No, that was cute though. That's good.
We already started the new year off bad.
All right, you guys go away. That's it. That's the end of the video.
That's it. That's our last episode of Lunch Table Podcast.
Bye bye.